Now, if you've been to the new Lyric Theatre, you can't have escaped the distinctive large-scale portraits of some of our leading cultural figures, including Brian Friel, Adrian Dunbar, Kieran Hines and Basil Blackshaw. They're the work of local artist Colin Davidson, who has just completed his latest piece, Seamus Heaney. In a TV first, Colin allowed the art show cameras into his Crawfordsburn studio to capture a very personal process.
We have no prairies to slice a big sun at evening. Everywhere the eye concedes to encroaching horizon,
there automatically is an awareness of the greatness of the man.
is wooed into the cyclops eye of a tarn.
That's the scary bit. Do I want the responsibility?
Our unfenced country is bog that keeps crusting between the sights of the sun.
The whole process at the drawing stage is very much about the process of recording. And if you're fortunate in the final painting, or even in some of the drawings, this extra spark comes through. It surprises me. You know, it's not something that I'm in control of. I spent a few hours with Seamus and made probably about 15 reasonable drawings.
They've taken the skeleton of the great Irish elk out of the peat, set it up an astounding crate full of air.
The moments between the words are often the most interesting to look at. Whenever somebody's talking to you, they're in the here and now. Whenever they're thinking about what to say, they're in the past, they're in the future. And those are the moments that I'm looking for to paint.
Butter sunk under more than 100 years was recovered, salty and white.
The discipline of making drawings in the studio before the painting, it just builds the familiarity with the subject. It helps form in my mind the moment I'm looking for. And I often combine quite a number of drawings and look at the likeness from that point of view. It's not a case of coming straight into the studio and starting the painting. Painting, I think, is probably the most natural thing I could think of doing. But on the other hand, it's the most challenging thing I can possibly think of doing as well. This series that I'm on now, and I've been working on for about 3 years, of the large heads, was never started as a potential theme. I had asked Duke Special if he would sit for me, because something about his look that made me just want to paint him. I won a few awards with it, and suddenly I was getting more attention for that one painting than anything I had done before. And there's about 28, 30 paintings that I've completed.
The ground itself is kind black butter, melting and opening underfoot, missing its last definition by millions of years.
I didn't learn this from anywhere, I just do it. With making a painting of a head this size, it's not a classical portrait as such. I'm carving into the wet paint here, and these will leave marks of their own. Become very aware of the face as a kind of a landscape, where there's maybe bits of rock sticking out, and there's a topographical sort of an aspect to it. And in some ways you're carving the thing out. You're teasing it out from the background. With Heaney in particular, his work is part of the landscape. There's a kind of a winland colour to the background, and he's kind of emerging through it, as much of his work does.
They'll never dig coal here, only the waterlogged trunks of great firs, soft as pulp.
I'm bringing absolutely everything I've learnt to them. The thicker, more sculptural paint that I used in the Belfast paintings maybe 10 years back. Then there's the excuse to use the thinner, more blended paint of the window reflections, paintings in the eyes and in the background. Employ the blending techniques that I love as well. And to bring them all together in one painting, I think I've just happened upon a subject, particularly at this scale, that allows me to do that. You know, yeah, I just spend so much more time. There's tension in the painting. There's a lot of the means of identifying with a person, a lot of the means of recognizing a person and communicating with them is through their eyes. You get to know the person through their eyes, and I suppose it's all of those things that makes me just want to spend most time on that. I think the whole way through this painting there's always been something of the man that has come through it.
Our pioneers keep striking inwards and downwards. Every layer they strip seems camped on before. The bog holes might be Atlantic seepage. The wet centre is bottomless.
I am constantly on this quest to learn something new from each new painting that I do. I need to have one of those little lessons learnt, one of those little surprises to bring on to the next piece. And I just love the excuse to absorb as much as I can. That painting just gives me that. I might be able to improve on this, but equally, in the quest to improve it, I might ruin the entire thing. So it's whenever that balance just tips and you go, right, now it's time to leave the thing alone.
What an amazing piece. I can't wait to see it up close. Now, local actor and